So, welcome back to this YouTube channel. It is 2025 and we've got some great content coming up for you this year. And the only reason I'm not using my normal mic today is because I thought I'd give this one out a try. This one a try. Yeah, cool mic. I thought I'd give it a try, but yeah, we'll be returning with the boom mic very soon. Probably the next video, in fact. But yeah. Today, the video is one player that will leave your club this season. So whether it's January or the summer, this is one player that will leave your club this season. So Arsenal, I've got William Saliba. I just think William Saliba, obviously, he's been on Real Madrid's books for quite a bit of time now, and I just think that it could do his career good for signing for a new club, because he could become one of the best defenders in the world. Obviously, when Antonio Rudiger left Chelsea to sign for Real Madrid, he became one of the best defenders in the world, and I think he still is. This season he's been outstandingly good, and I just think William Saliba signing for a new club would be really, really good for his career. Signing for someone like Barcelona or Real Madrid, I think he's good enough to sign for both of those teams, and I could see him signing for Real Madrid in the future, like every other bloody player in the world. But I just think him signing for Real Madrid makes so much sense, because he's one of the best defenders in the world, and Real Madrid are probably one of the best teams in the world. So I could see William Saliba signing for Real Madrid this season. Maybe it'd be the summer, I don't think it'll be in January, but I think he will move away from Arsenal in the summer. I know Arsenal fans don't want to hear that, but that's what I think is going to happen. I think he will move from Arsenal in the summer. But yeah, I think he's going to move to either move to a team in Spain or a team in Italy. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, so Bournemouth, it's got to be Milos Kerkez. It has to be Milos Kerkez. He is probably one of their best players. I could have, for this one, gone for Justin Kluivert, or Evan Nilsson, but both have just signed, or it could have been Antoine Semenyo. But I think Milos Kerkez will probably sign for another Premier League club this summer. I think that's going to happen. I think Milos Kerkez will sign for another Premier League club, whether it be Manchester United, whether it be Arsenal, or whether it be Liverpool. Obviously, he has been famously linked to Liverpool in the past. I think he's a great player, and I don't think Bournemouth will be able to keep hold of him for any longer than they have done, really. I can't believe they've kept hold of him for this long. Aston Villa, John Duran. Now, I think John Duran is someone who could really benefit from a transfer away from his club, because Aston Villa, yes, they're one of probably the best teams in the Premier League this season, but they're not the sort of team that would win a Champions League or a Premier League or even an FA Cup. They're not that sort of team, and I really do think he could benefit from a move away from the Villains, because he could become an outstanding player, because he's shown what he can do in the Premier League this season. He looks like a really good player. I could see maybe a Spurs or I've just mentioned winning trophies. That ain't going to happen, is it? But I could see him signing for maybe a Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Liverpool. I could see him signing for a team in the Premier League this summer, and I think he would really benefit from a move away from Villa Park, because if it's trophies he wants to win, it's all well and good saying, I want to be a legend at this club and I want to win trophies here. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that Villa have got the facilities to do that. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League, and it's doubtful that they're going to win the Premier League either in the next few years. So I think moving from Aston Villa would benefit John Duran massively because he can do some great stuff at another club. He could become one of the best players in the world. You know, he could even win a Ballon d'Or just if he moves to a new club. Even maybe be Juventus or AC Milan. I could definitely see him moving to a team like AC Milan. But I think that John Duran needs to move this summer, or his career is going to go nowhere, because I think staying at Aston Villa for a long period of time isn't going to do John Duran any good, because if it's trophies and success he wants in his career, I don't think Aston Villa are going to be able to provide him that. I'm not trying to discredit Aston Villa in any way, but I just don't think staying at Aston Villa will do John Duran any good in terms of winning trophies and achieving success at a football club. But yeah, I think John Duran will move from Aston Villa this summer. So Brentford now, Bryan Mbeumo. Now, in the summer, he was said to maybe move to Liverpool or even Arsenal. I think he's going to move this season. It's inevitable. I think he's going to move. And yeah, he's going to move to a team like Man United or a team like Arsenal, because he is so good. He is such a good player. Since Ivan Toney left, he has been the wall that has kept Brentford together. He has been the wall that has kept the house together at Brentford, because I think if they don't have Ivan Toney or Bryan Mbeumo, I think that's a relegation battle for Brentford. I really don't think that without Bryan Mbeumo, Brentford are actually that good. So if Bryan Mbeumo leaves, Brentford could actually be in a relegation battle, but I think Bryan Mbeumo will leave. Ivan Toney has obviously left the club to go to Saudi Arabia in the summer, and I think Bryan Mbeumo will do the same. I don't think he'll go to Saudi, but I think he'll go to another team in Europe. So maybe it might even be the Premier League again. It could be the Premier League, but I think he will go to another team. If Brentford sell him, I think he could go to another team in Europe, because that's what he sort of deserves. I think this man deserves success, and he deserves to be a great player, because in the Premier League this season, he's been outstanding. In the Premier League last season, he was outstanding, so I think he just needs a big move away to further his career, because I don't think staying at Brentford for the rest of his career, or for a long time of his career, is going to do him any good, because staying at a team like Brentford, you're not going to get that success that other players would get, being at teams like Inter Milan or AC Milan or Real Madrid or Barcelona. He's not going to get that sort of success, so moving away from Brentford would be perfect for Bryan Mbeumo, and I won't be surprised if it happens. Brighton, João Pedro. I think that João Pedro could become a really good little player if he signs. I mean, he could sign for a team like... I'm expecting him to sign for another team in the Premier League. Obviously, Brighton signing from Watford, and João Pedro has been really good at times this season. And I really do think that João Pedro could benefit from a move away from Brighton. Brighton are an outstanding team. They're really good. But I think that he could be on the books of some really good European teams this season. I can see him moving to somewhere like Juventus or maybe Napoli. But I honestly think that João Pedro is going to benefit if he does sign for a new club this summer or maybe even this January, because although Brighton are a really good club, I don't think they've got what it takes to win either the Premier League, the FA Cup or the Champions League. They could win the Carabao Cup. They're not going to win it this season, but they could win the Carabao Cup in the future. But I think that João Pedro will move away from Brighton in 2025. Chelsea, now I know this is one player that will go from every club, but I've picked two, Nkunku and Disasi. Now, Disasi his time at Chelsea has been disastrous, to say the least, because it's just blown up in the air. When he first signed for Chelsea, he looked like a great prospect. He looked like he could really excel at Chelsea, and all the fans have turned on him. I don't think anyone wants him at the club. And I think just to save his career, he needs to move from Chelsea this season. Christopher Nkunku, this is a different matter because he has really started for Chelsea. Not really as in Really, really as in rare steak. He has really started for Chelsea. He's not done much for Chelsea this season. And he has been linked to Manchester United in the last few weeks. So maybe a move to Manchester United because they do need a striker. And Christopher Nkunku is a really good striker. He's a really good striker. Don't get me wrong. He's a great striker. But I don't think, with Cole Palmer being in the Chelsea team, I don't think Christopher Nkunku really has a spot in that team. I don't think he really gets selected, and he only really plays in the Conference League and just cup games. So I think both Nkunku and Disasi will leave the Chelsea team this year. I think Nkunku will leave this January, and I think he'll move to another Premier League club, whether it be Arsenal or Manchester United. I'm not sure, but I think he'll move. He could move to Manchester United, but we never know. But yeah, Nkunku and Disasi need to leave Chelsea. Crystal Palace, Ebere Eze. Now, with this one, obviously Michael Olise left Crystal Palace at the perfect time. He's gone on to sign for Bayern Munich. And, sorry guys, I've got a really bad cough at the minute. Eberechi Eze, he needs to leave Crystal Palace because he's a really good player. He's a fantastic player. He's got a lot of skill. He scores goals. And signing for another club would really do him the world of good. Whether it be Tottenham, Chelsea or Arsenal. I think it's going to be a London club. Because Crystal Palace are not good enough at all. They're possibly fighting relegation this season. I don't think they will get relegated, but they've sort of been flirting around relegation for sort of the last 5 years. And Crystal Palace, yeah. I mean, Eze is in the England setup, and leaving Crystal Palace would make him into a really, really good player, because signing for a team like Liverpool, Manchester United, possibly even Man City. Man City could use his help at the minute because of their difficulties going on. But I think Eberechi Eze is more likely to move to a London club than somewhere like Manchester United or Man City, because obviously he's a Londoner and it would make sense to move to a team like Arsenal or Chelsea. Could even move to Tottenham. But I do think Eze would benefit. It would be beneficial for Eze to leave Crystal Palace this year, because he won't. It's doubtful he's going to achieve any success at Crystal Palace with the way the team is. And I just think Eberechi Eze could be so much a better player if he moved from Crystal Palace. I mean, we've seen the effect from that on Michael Olise. He left Crystal Palace to go to Bayern Munich, and he's doing bits in the Bundesliga. So I think Eberechi Eze needs to do the same. Everton, Jarrad Branthwaite. Now, Jarrad Branthwaite is a player who he's not featured. Well, he has featured a lot for Everton this season, but he's been injured for a portion of the season. So, signing for a different team, obviously, in the past, I don't think Man United have given up on signing Jarrad Branthwaite. So I think if he is to sign for a new club, it will be Manchester United. Obviously, Liverpool even wanted him in the summer transfer window. And I didn't think that was going to be possible. It didn't happen, obviously. But I think Jarrad Branthwaite, like Everton, obviously, they're not good enough. And Jarrad Branthwaite, I think, would need to sign for another club to be able to get success, basically. Because Everton aren't good enough. Everton are really not good enough for success. They can't win any trophies. They can barely win games. So, like, I think Branthwaite would really, really benefit from signing for a new club. And I think that will be probably Manchester United. Because Branthwaite is a really good player, but staying at Everton for a lot of his career isn't going to do him any good. And it will just downgrade him when he's a really good player, so he should be moving to a big club. Fulham, Rodrigo Muniz. Now, this is a player, Rodrigo Muniz could become a fabulous player. Now, he's come from this nobody player at Fulham to probably one of the best players in their team. And obviously, he's such a good player. He played against Liverpool. He was really good. And he could sign for a good club in the Premier League and become one of the best players in our league. I could see him sign for it. I could see him signing for a Newcastle. I think that would be a good option for Rodrigo Muniz because he's really good. We've seen that, and he's obviously got the skill set. And I think Rodrigo Muniz could really benefit from signing for Fulham, from signing away from Fulham, should I have said, sorry. But yeah, I think Rodrigo Muniz could be a really, really good player if he's to move to a different club this summer. I can see some big teams picking him up in the Premier League. Ipswich Town, Omari Hutchinson and Liam Delap. Now, both players have been really good for Ipswich this season. Both scored in their 2-1 win just a few days ago against Chelsea. Now, Omari Hutchinson did sign from Chelsea. No, or did he? He's played for Chelsea at some point. I think he signed from Arsenal. Now, Hutchinson could be picked up by maybe... Tottenham could really use him right now. Tottenham could really use Omari Hutchinson. Liam Delap, obviously, ex-Man City player. He could return there. Chelsea also want to pick him up as well. I've seen reports of that in the last few days. But I think Omari Hutchinson and Liam Delap could really, really, really benefit from a move away from Ipswich Town. Because Ipswich Town, I think, as good a go as they're giving it, I think they're going to get relegated from the Premier League this season. So if Omari Hutchinson and Liam Delap are to sign for a different club, that would be really good for them because they could turn out to be some really good players. Obviously, it didn't work out for Liam Delap at Man City, but a different club with lower standards could be a really good move for both Liam Delap and Omari Hutchinson. Leicester City, obviously Jamie Vardy's going to leave. There's probably... He's going to retire soon, I think. But another player, Facundo Buonanotte. I think I've said that correctly. But Facundo Buonanotte could become a fabulous player if he's to sign for a different club this year. Now, I could definitely see Facundo Buonanotte signing for a team like Newcastle or a team like Brentford maybe, or a team like Brighton. He obviously is on loan from Brighton, so we'll probably go back there. But I think he could definitely sign for a top club in the Premier League. He's a really good player. I don't think he's ready for a move away from the Premier League just yet. But I think Facundo Buonanotte, obviously as we've seen in the past, he can play ball. And he featured quite a lot for Brighton last season, and he's been decent for the best part. for Leicester City this season, and I think with Leicester City probably going to get relegated again, I think Facundo Buonanotte, obviously he won't be there next season. Facundo Buonanotte will leave the club. Will leave Brighton this year. So yeah. Leicester City. Not Leicester City, the other one. Liverpool. I've got 4 here. 4 players. Darwin Núñez, Trent, Kelleher and Chiesa. Chiesa's just not good enough. I've seen stuff that he's going to actually leave the club in January for Inter Milan. You can do that. I'm not really bothered. He's not done much for us. He won't be missed. Darwin Núñez, if he could sort his shooting out, would become a really good player, but he's not getting in the team at the minute of the likes of Salah and Gakpo. He's just... we mistimed it when we signed him, I think. Trent, he's gonna leave, and let's be completely honest. Real Madrid have been hunting for him for ages. As much as I'd love him to stay, I think Trent is gonna leave. That's gonna come very soon, I think. And there's not much more to say on that. Kelleher. Yeah, I think Kelleher needs to leave Liverpool because obviously with Georgie Mamardashvili coming in at the end of the season to Liverpool, Kelleher isn't going to get as much game time as he'd want, and I think Mamardashvili will become the second choice goalkeeper. So moving to another team would benefit Kelleher because he's a fantastic goalkeeper. He's world class in my opinion. So I really hope he moves and gets the game time that he needs because he's going to become a fantastic player in the future. He's going to become a really, really, really good player. And I can just see Kelleher moving to a team. Obviously, he was linked with Juventus in the summer. I could see him moving to a team like Juventus. Manchester City now. I've only got one player, Kevin De Bruyne. I think his time is up this season. Obviously, there's been rumours that he could be leaving the club because of his future at the club in terms of contracts. But I think he's going to move this season. I think he's going to move to a team in Saudi. He was obviously linked massively to a team in Saudi just a few months ago. And I think he's going to move to a team in Saudi. I cannot see him staying at Man City until the end of the season. I cannot see him being at Man City next season. I think De Bruyne is going to Saudi, and yeah, there's still a lot more of his career to go, but I do think De Bruyne will move from Man City at the end of this season, or maybe in January, and I do think he will move to a team in Saudi. That I just feel like that's what's going to happen. Manchester United, Amad Diallo and Joshua Zirkzee. Joshua Zirkzee is definitely going to leave this year because he's too slow. I've seen him play. He's too slow. He can't score. Well, he can score, but he's just too slow and he's not good enough. I think a big jump from Bologna to a team like Manchester United is where players go wrong sometimes. And obviously we just have to learn from our mistakes. And I think he could be going to Juventus on a loan in January. I have seen that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but He needs game time, let's be completely honest here. He definitely needs game time. Amad Diallo. This is one that I've wanted to say. He is a great player. He's a really, really good player. And probably the best player in Man United's team at the minute. I do think he could benefit from a move away from Manchester United because Man United aren't good enough. And Amad Diallo is really good. So the two don't really mix. And signing for a different team would do Amad Diallo the world of good. Probably just going back to Atalanta would make him a really fantastic player. He could turn out to be like an Ademola Lookman or a Victor Gyökeres. So he moves away from Man United, or even if he just makes Man United better, he could become a really good player. But yeah, Amad Diallo and Joshua Zirkzee. For Nottingham Forest, Ola Reina. I think he continues to improve and impress like he has been doing I think he's going to get a move away in 2025 because he's showed how good he can be this season and he looks like a really good player. And you just look at where Nottingham Forest are. Obviously, it's the whole team, but Ola Reina, he's been really, really good. And obviously, he flopped a bit at Fulham. But at Nottingham Forest, he's been a different player. He's probably been one of the best players in this league this season. So yeah, I think he continues to improve and continues to be the best that he can. I think he can get a move away to a bigger club in the Premier League this summer. Newcastle United, Alexander Isak. Now, this is a player that is going to get a move in 2025, whether it be to Barcelona, whether it be to Borussia Dortmund, whether it be to Bayern Munich, whether it be to a different club in the Premier League. I really think he could do with a move away because he is a fantastic player. He's world class in my opinion, and he's, in my opinion, too good to be playing for Newcastle. And I think he could really, really do with a move away because he could become a Ballon d'Or player. And I think he's been better than Haaland this season. That's all I'm going to say. I think he's going to get a move away in 2025. He might not want to leave, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to move in 2025. Because if a team comes in with a really big offer, I think Newcastle are going to take that. And I think Isak's on his way. So yeah, I think Alexander Isak will be moving from Newcastle United this summer, or maybe even this January. Southampton, Tyler Dibbling. Now, he looks like a decent player. He really does look like a decent player. I mean, although Southampton aren't the best in the world, I could see him signing for like Sunderland or maybe a Nottingham Forest or a Fulham. I can see him signing for a different club because Southampton are clearly going to get relegated. They're on 6 points, for God's sake. So I can really, really see Tyler Dibbling getting a move away. And he looks decent. He looks like a really good prospect. And getting a move away in the summer will be really good for Tyler Dibbling because he looks like a fantastic player. He looks really, really good. And I think it will be really good for him to get a move away in 2025 because he looks like a really good player. I'm not even lying. I've seen him play a couple of times and he looks like a good young prospect and looks like he could play for a bigger team. So yeah, Tyler Dibbling for Southampton. Tottenham, Mickey van der Ven. Tottenham obviously haven't been the best this season. Mickey van der Ven is just levels. I could have gone for Kulusevski, but I thought Mickey van der Ven is a really good player. And I can see him easily signing for a top club in Europe in 2025. I could easily see him signing for like a Bayern Munich or a team in La Liga, maybe Atletico Madrid. But I can see him signing for a top club in Europe this season because he's too good to be playing at Tottenham, let's be completely honest. He's too good for him. And he's never going to really achieve any success at Tottenham. So I think he needs to leave. And I think he will definitely leave in 2025. Don't hold me to that though. Do not hold me to that. But I think Mickey van der Ven is just too good for a club like Tottenham. And I think he's going to move in 2025. Jarrod Bowen for West Ham. Again, another one that's too good to be playing for the club he's playing for. Jarrod Bowen is a player that obviously signed for Hull before he signed for West Ham. He played for Hull before he signed for West Ham, sorry. And he's a really good player. There's obviously been rumours in the past that he could have signed for Liverpool. I am quite sad that didn't happen, actually. But West Ham aren't the sort of team that are going to win a trophy in the next sort of 3 or 4 years. So I think he's going to sign for a team like maybe Chelsea or Arsenal. But I don't think he will sign for a club outside of the Premier League. I don't think he's good enough for that yet. But he scores goals. And Yeah, I think a team like Man City could do with Jarrod Bowen being a backup to Erling Haaland. Obviously now Julian Alvarez is gone. So yeah, Jarrod Bowen will leave West Ham in 2025. He's going to leave West Ham. Wolves, Matheus Cunha. I think he's going to sign for Arsenal. I really do think he's going to sign for Arsenal. It looks like he might be signing for Arsenal, so that is a player who I think will leave Arsenal in the year 2025, because I think Wolves, they're not good enough at all. This squad is just absolute shite. It's like I barely know any players in that squad, and the only player doing bits for them this season has to be Matheus Cunha. He's a really, really good player, and he's been scoring goals like nothing for Wolves this season. He's been saving them from being relegated. I don't think they'll get relegated now, but it's still a possibility. But if they do, Matheus Cunha needs to get out of there quick and sign for a team like Arsenal, because Arsenal could use Matheus Cunha because he's a fabulous player from what we've seen. So Matheus Cunha, I think he's going to leave. He's definitely going to leave. He's going to leave Wolves. But yeah, I enjoyed making that video. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Just means like, subscribe, turn post notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.